Okay, so what's the deal with these now?
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com. And in this video, I wanted to talk to you about all the crazy stuff that those kids are doing over at Monument Hobbies, because I get this stuff in the mail and it just really makes me chuckle when I see it, because I'm like, hey, I thought about that like 20 years ago. It's cool to see somebody finally figured it out. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So they just put out these new expert acrylics in singles and a bundle, and you'll notice that these are tubes. These are literal derivative artist acrylic paint, which is a really interesting idea and something that's personally come full circle for me, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But okay, so these are, you can get the all-in set for $112, or, well, that would be the retail price. So you can save about 12 bucks if you get the all-in set for $100, which is nice. And then the singles are about $7 each. That gets you a fluid ounce of paint in each of these. By comparison, some of the other artist acrylics that you can go down to the art store and get, you're going to get about 2 ounces, so that's about 60 milliliters. These are about 30 milliliters of paint in them, just to give you a comparison. Now the stuff down at the art store is like $8.50, $9-ish, depending. You can get as low as $5 for like smaller sizes, but we're just kind of trying to compare apples to apples here, but you can't really, because this is acrylic paint for miniatures, formulated for miniatures, which is very important here, and something that they talk about. They used a lot of those words in this description here, which is really interesting to see. So this is super dope. Obviously, monumenthobbies.com is where you can get this stuff if you are so inclined. I did want to talk about these brushes that they put out too. The new Dauntless synthetic set, which I also have here. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of paints, a lot of brushes and stuff out there on the market today, but you have to be the dopest to be in, the top 5 or so here in 2025. It used to be 20 years ago, we had Games Workshop and Games Workshop brushes, and maybe some got down at the art store that would kind of last, but not really. And now we are spoiled in 2025 for options and all sorts of things. Now, this is really interesting because I think I've actually tried these out, and I'm sure I'll get a message from Jason saying, no, something different. Why are you saying stuff? I don't know. That's just, I got to shoot from the hip. So I feel like I've gotten these in the past, and they're old, and I feel like they were a prototype back in the day, maybe something that he was looking to do or didn't end up doing. He went with these, his traditional synthetics, and then also he's got his pro quality sable stuff, which I also use on the regular, and I'll show you here in a minute. But I'm pretty sure I used these in the past, and I still have them. And I was impressed with them then. I'm just as impressed with them now. Now, I had no idea what the price would be if they are indeed the same product. But when you start looking at this, 25 bucks for a set of 5 brushes, that's 5 bucks each, y'all. Like, you cannot go down to the store at Walmart or Michael's Arts and Crafts and get something of a better quality for a better price. You just can't. And to do that from them is just incredible, just in and of itself. 5 bucks a brush, you get the set for $22.50. That's, at 2025, I feel like you should be raising his prices, not like lowering them. But I don't know. I don't want to tell the man how to run his business. At the end of the day, we're all just passionate amateurs, just trying to do the best we can out there. But I am very impressed with this so far. So let's jump over to the paint table and talk a little bit more. So here they are. Here is the whole set of, well, I guess what's going to be Series 1, because it says Series 1 on it, so it has to be Series 1, right? That means they got to do more. They got to do more. So like I said, I thought about this, and this kind of is like a full circle moment for me personally, because back in the day, a lot of us, when there only was one paint company out there, and it was Games Workshop, and their stuff for back in the day was obviously very expensive as it is now. So we were always looking for something better. And if you could get a tube of paint, theoretically it would last longer. And the only place to do that was the art store. But as the problems we ran into was that thinning this stuff down was problematic. I mean, you could, and it would work on like larger vehicles and stuff, but it didn't always work the way the Citadel paints and the acrylic for miniatures would always work on paints, which was a little bit problematic. So you would get obscure detail, you would have problems thinning it down. Now those are the very first 2 things they said on their website that this stuff is great. Now, I'm not going to show you how this paints, and here's why. Well, 2 reasons. One, I already know it's good quality stuff, and if you're here, you're already curious about Monument Hobbies in general, and you've probably heard about them, that they're probably one of the better paints out there. There's probably like 2 or 3 at the top, you know, next to Games Workshop, and then, you know, you got some other stuff out there here and there that's easier to get and has its own uses and things like that. But you're probably here because you've heard, hey, this stuff is good stuff, and it is good stuff, and I'm not going to learn how to use this and spend hours and hours and hours and give you all the ins and outs of this particular paint. That's kind of not what I'm here for. There's other people out there that do this. They do this a lot better than me and paint a lot better than me. I just try really hard. I don't come from an artist background, and that's what this stuff is great for, because if you were trained traditionally, this is also like, you just get it and go, and you already know what to do. You know how to thin it down. People like Jason, people like Kenny from Next Level Painting, you know, that learn this way and do it digitally, or, you know, have that background, a traditional background. But I don't have that, and I'm not gonna get into it that much with you about that. But I can look at this product, and you're probably sitting at home looking at the product page like, okay, well, what do I need to know? Yeah, hey, that's important. So first of all, Series 1, they have the opacity listed on here. This is O for opaque, which is, you know, good to know. So it's going to block light. But then there's other stuff on here that is SO, which is semi-opaque. So it's, you know, it's going to have some light pass through it. And then you've got stuff on here, which is T for translucent. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working with these things. They say on the website that this stuff works just fine out of the bottle. You can mix and match it with, now this is the brush on primer, but pretend this is a paint. You can mix it. I just have it on the desk because I do things with it quickly when there's mistakes. So this particular one, you know, it isn't a color, but you can mix this with other colors to do all sorts of things. It's a little bit easier to mix, you know, to kind of squirt out of here than maybe the dropper bottle. This is great for airbrush format. Also, they're going to open up, and you're going to use them like traditional acrylics, acrylic tubes. You pull the little thing here, and you're good to go. There isn't a seal in here like there is a seal in these ones here, depending on when you open them. Oh, I guess this is a fresh one. I've already been through one of these. So there's a little seal in here, which is really cool. So to keep your paint sealed and theoretically fresh or longer. I mean, I haven't had any dry out on me, and I guess I've been with these since kind of the beginning, less than 10 years ago, I suppose. Something else you need to know, and this is where it gets wild here, and this is, I think, is a big selling point, and about all I can speak to about these at this point, is this is 1 fluid ounce in here, and a fluid ounce is about 30 milliliters. These bottles here from Monument are about 22 milliliters. So you're gonna get more product in here regardless. Not a whole lot. It's, you know, it's about a third to a fourth, depending on how you want to do the math and round up. But I did want to mention, so this is $7. These are $5 now. They did raise the price. Oh no, everything's going up. They did raise the price to have everything the same price, signature or non-signature paint, right? And at $5 for this bottle, that's 22 milliliters. That's roughly 23 cents a milliliter, which is shockingly the lowest price acrylic paint on the market for arguably one of the best, which just blows my mind right there. They raised the price, and they're technically still the cheapest because this is a 22 millimeter bottle. Again, here, $7 for 30 milliliters of paint right here. And again, it's gonna work differently, you know, how you mix in, do all the things with that. But that being said, that's all I have to say about that. Series 1, you can mix all this stuff together, and you got all your basic colors here. So if you're classically trained, you know what to do about this stuff. I did want to mention, I guess since I haven't wasted enough time yet, titanium white. This is what started it all. Bold titanium white was basically, Jason mixed up a batch of this because white has always been a problem for us gamers, right? Always a nightmare. Like, GW's tried and failed on other whites. Spray paints, terrible. Now what I found that I like from Hobbies is the translucent white. I use that to appreciate all my stuff. Like, I don't even use a normal white paint anymore for any of that. I use the translucent white, which I'm sure is a derivative of this. But originally, Jason mixed up a bunch of these in bottles, put a little heart on them, and gave them out to a lot of folks back when he was just only streaming. And that's how he got the idea to get into doing paint, doing miniature acrylic paint. And the rest, as they say, is history. So this technically is a full circle moment, I guess, for him, but also kind of for me, because I had this idea way back in the day to try to save some money. Now, let's talk about brushes. Boom. So I might be off the mark here, but I did get a set of these brushes way back in the day from Jason. They might not be 100% the same, but I thought they were a synthetic, and they might have been a prototype of what he has right now. But I was really impressed with these. I still use them. You can see that they're stained. I've cleaned them. I use his brush cleaner, brush conditioner, the whole nine. But these are $5. These are $5 a brush. That's just sheer insanity. Now, I'm a little weird, and you probably heard me say this on the channel. Now, this is their brush holder. I don't know if they make them in red anymore. Oops. Oh, no, we slipped out. I didn't close it all the way. Anyways, don't do that. So they got this really cool brush holder, which I love. It's like a pool cue holder for pool, right? I love using pro brush, or you know, the Kolinsky Sable brushes for washes, which are going to do the most damage to the brush. And look at these brushes. My brushes, they look great. For only using these to do washes and really get in there and gunkify them and mess them all up all over models, incredible, right? These are the synthetics, and I use this for line work and obviously dry brushing, doing, you know, the slap chop and things like that. And these have held up remarkably well too, but these are their pro synthetics. I got these and I was like, well, I'll just use these. I won't use, you know, once these came in, I stopped using these synthetics, but these are like expensive. I mean, expensive for brushes. Brushes are always expensive and you want to buy the good ones, but I feel like at $5 each, if they hold any sort of characteristics that are same with these test ones, I guess I got back in the day from Jason, I'm just blown away by them already. So if you're sitting at home and you're like, hey, do I need this stuff? If you already like Monument Hobbies and you already like the quality, I just can't see where this stuff isn't going to be the greatest. Now, will I get to using all this stuff this year? I don't know. I got a lot going on. But when I do use this stuff, I'm always super impressed by the offerings that he comes out with, the ingenuity of the well, basically the product lineup, because who saw this coming, right? And then $5 brushes, like these are the things that have to keep you on people's mind in 2025, because there's so many other people doing the same things. You have to keep it fresh, but you also have to keep the quality top notch. So that's basically it for this one. I talked a lot. I like to talk, and thank you for watching, because you know I like sharing my stories like this that I have with everybody out there, and I just really enjoy just kind of getting into the groove, going to shows, going to conventions, and looking at all this stuff and getting really motivated to get my hobby on. So let me know if you've used this paint yet. I know it's very new, it's very fresh, but let me know what your takes on it are, or if you know how you learn to paint, like traditional, like artsy in school, or hey, let me just turn on a YouTube video and figure out what this miniature painting is all about, and then basically you started with stuff like this. Or maybe you started back in the day with White Dwarf magazine, because that's all we had. The internet wasn't even around yet. Thanks for watching. Supporting us is super easy. Just click on the article links provided, subscribe, or follow us right here. And remember, next time you're searching for the best Warhammer news, type Spiky Bits into Google to get the most accurate info. See you in the next one.